right, you're unmuted.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is a special town board meeting of the Cicero Board, 6:30 p.m. on this date, July 8th. First of all, I'll indicate who's here in the meeting room. We have Dick Cushman, Tracy Councilman, Officer Freeman, and Deputy Clerk Gretchen Walter. On the go to meetings component, we have Mike Bacallo, Judy Boyke, Jonathan Karp, Nancy White, Chief Fortuno, Neil Germain, Nicole Walsh, Jordy Rogers, Mike Marizio, Kate Fiorello, and I believe we have Kevin from Syracuse Haulers. Is that right, Kevin?
Yes, good afternoon. Kevin Beverine with Syracuse Haulers, and to my right, your left is Steve Ruggi with Syracuse Haulers.
Okay, thank you very much. The clerk will call the roll, please.
Counselor Boyke.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Here.
Counselor White.
Here.
Counselor Bacallo.
Here.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, I'm here. Okay, in the unlikely event there's an emergency in this room, please note for the folks who are in the room, look for the emergency exits. This evening, we'll have the pledge for this meeting by Ms. Walter. Gretchen?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
The United
States of America.
And to the republic for which it
It
stands,
stands one nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty,
and justice for all.
justice for all.
for all.
And I would like to thank all the essential workers for all they are doing for us. And I request a moment of silence for our troops in harm's way.
Thank you. Item number 2, Jonathan?
Resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves abstract numbers 26 and 27 dated June 24th, 2020 and July 2nd, 2020 respectively.
Second, Counselor Bacallo.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Aye.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Jonathan, number 3?
Resolved, the budget modifications are approved as presented.
Second, Judy Boyke.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. The next is a presentation by Syracuse Haulers. Trash service is a very essential service in the town of Cicero and every community, and that business is changing, not only for just economics, but due to the COVID virus situation. So I've invited the folks from Syracuse Haulers to do a presentation on the current market conditions. A lot of people don't know this, but that is one service that is an itemized item on your tax bill, and it's about $1.9 million. So I think it's important that the residents be informed on this very important issue. So Kevin, if you would please introduce yourself and the other gentleman with you. And we have part of the presentation being organized and run at the back of the room by Officer Freeman. So if you'd like to start, we'll get going on the presentation. You're up.
Well, thank you. Good evening. And thanks to Officer Freeman for providing us with some IT support. My name is Kevin Beverine. I'm the sales manager for Syracuse Haulers. I've been with the company 11 years. And to my right is Steve Ruggi, and Steve is our overall operations manager.
And I've been with the company now for 5 years.
So what we're going to do is we have a brief presentation regarding automation. And what this is going to do is just walk through basically what we're doing in other markets and other towns. Our business has evolved over the years. I've been in it 23 years, and prior to that, back in the 70s, basically everything went into the back of one truck. All recycled material that wasn't recycling, material went in as far as trash, everything was thrown into one truck. And then recycling came in the 80s. We started doing some dual stream recycling, which was separated where you had one day where you had glass, tin, and plastic, and another day was cardboard, newsprint, and office paper. And we've evolved into the 2000s into what we call single stream recycling, where you have one container, be it a blue bin, which pretty much is the old way now, or you have a 95 gallon cart for recycling, where everything is put in loose, the material is put in there, the material is brought into a recycling facility, it is separated, baled, and shipped out to market. So there's been a lot of evolution with that. What we're showing today is the evolution of collection for trash and recycling or for municipal contracts. So for many years, even before there was trash districts in Onondaga County, there was always curbside service. This is the evolution of the way that was going forward that we're doing this. So I'm going to walk you through the slides. If you have questions, please feel free to stop me. If not, Steve and I are here to answer any and all questions that you have. This is very brief, but at least it will give you some ideas what we're looking at, the future of collection for locations, municipal contracts like the town of Cicero. So our second slide here, Wayne, do I do this or you? Thank you. You are perfect. I can talk, you can walk. This is a picture of an automated collection truck. Back in the old days, there were rear load collection. Everything went in the back. This truck, as you can see here, has a low entry cab. If you look in the middle there, the device that is yellow, that is what we call our automation or our one-arm bandit. That you'll see in the next video, comes out, grabs around the receptacle, picks it up, dumps it into the truck, and sets it back down. Now, this truck here in this picture is what we call a split body truck. It has the capabilities of picking up trash and single stream recycling all at the same time. What there is a joystick inside where the driver is, and he just flips a switch. There's a panel inside there that locks down one side. So trash goes on one side and recycling goes on the other. If we could go to the next video, or to the video. And Wayne, you're going to have to click on that, right click on it, hit start, and it'll take a second and you'll have to prompt it. And hopefully this works. It worked earlier today.
Might have to go into presentation mode.
Yeah, if you can put your arrow on there and right click, it should bring up start. Okay, right there in the top where it says start. You can hit that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, automatically. And let's see if it goes. Okay, hit start and then when clicked on. And then click right in the middle of the picture. Okay, it looks like this isn't going to work. Right click one more time, please. Nope. Okay. Hit start again, please. Yeah, go ahead and just click on the middle there for anyone in the picture.
Just a suggestion, Wayne, if you right click and hit preview, will that start the slide? Yeah, Kevin, I think you have the video stored on your desktop and not in the presentation itself.
Actually, I looked at it before, probably 15 minutes ago. So
It would work on your computer, but it won't work on this one.
right. All right, so I'll walk you through it. So we're going to show you the collection of these carts to show you the ease of what the driver does. So if you had a typical house in the town of Cicero, the placement of the carts are there's separation between them. So the driver has room to put the arms around it because there's a large band that comes around that. And then what happens is that when the band comes around that, it grabs onto the carts, takes the cart, dumps it over the top, sets it back down. The driver proceeds forward 4 to 6 feet, picks up the next cart, brings the material in, drops it down in there, and sets it back down. And then he proceeds on to the next stop. What I'll do is we'll find a way to get you folks email over a video so you can look at it individually. Next slide, please. Okay, so the advantages of the automated cart service. We have uniformity throughout the town. Everybody has carts. It's environmental impact, containment of material. So everything is inside the carts. There's no bag trash on the ground. There's nothing for rodents or anybody to get into. Safety of residents, rolling cart instead of lifting and dragging. So if you have someone that doesn't have containers or has an older container, it may be steel or aluminum, they're going to drag it out to the road. These are tilted back. They have large wheels on it. They have like aluminum steel bar that goes in between there. The cart is easy to roll down to the curb with material in it, back and forth between the curbside and back up to the garage or the side of the house, wherever the resident keeps it. Disposal cost control due to the container volume. So what we're looking at is this program would involve everything that's inside the container. And we'll be picking up exclusively things that are in the container. There's another slide we'll talk about additional items if we need those. And then it's an increased recycling numbers due to the container volume, and every resident will have the container promote recycling. So what we've seen in towns and villages that we've used these in our subscription service is that our volumes of recycling has gone up. The material goes into the container, which would be the green one. It's labeled recycling right on it. You put in your glass, tin, and plastic, your newspaper, your broken down cardboard, your office paper. Everything goes in there loose. You don't have to bag the material. And the material that we're getting from different towns and subscription service is usually we see an uptick as far as the volume of material that goes in there versus somebody putting in their trash bag or their trash container. And then the last one we alluded to briefly is bird and rodent control. Obviously, the cans are going to go out at night for morning collection. What's going to happen is the container is closed. A squirrel's not going to get in there. A bird's not going to fly down and peck at a bag that's sitting in an open container. We don't have material broken and throughout the container, either for a raccoon or something at night. So you're going to have basically, aesthetically, it's going to be better for the town to have these at the curb versus what's there now. Next slide, please. Cart delivery and policy. So Syracuse Halls provide each resident with a 95-gallon cart for trash and a 95-gallon cart for recycling. Syracuse Halls will deliver these carts to each resident in the town of Cicero, and we would set that up with the town. Syracuse haulers will maintain the cars during the term of the agreement. All normal wear and tear, an example would be a wheel falling off, a lid hinge breakage, body cracks, etc., would result in a replacement or repair by Syracuse haulers. So during the term of the agreement, this material is basically a program to where we're going to take care of everything, and we need it by customers as they call in. All the carts have an ID hot stamped right in it. So as these carts are distributed, the carts are going to go out to the individual resident. So if it's everybody on North Main Street, starting from 1 North Main to 20 North Main, every house will have in the system carts that are labeled to it. We track these carts in case something is lost or stolen, in case the cart needs to be repaired. Next slide, please. Municipal collection customers will automated collection. We currently do your neighbors and friends with the North Syracuse, effective November of 2018, and that's been a successful program. We've also switched over the Village of Homer back in December of 19 to automated collection with the carts. The transition was smooth, minimal calls from residents with questions. What do I do with it? Where am I supposed to put it? How does this work? People that have never seen these before, that weren't used to it. What do we do with older containers if they had something that they had themselves or previously from like another waste company? We have solutions for them. We can answer those questions. And our communication was key to have a successful rollout for each location where we're communicating with your residents when they have these questions coming in ourselves to minimize any confusion going forward during the transition. Next slide, please. So we have some FAQs on automated collection. What if I can't get all my trash and recycling into the carts? The answer is residents can call and arrange for a one-time special pickup for an additional fee. So we have a homeowner that over the Christmas area decided to purchase a brand new 70-inch television set, and he can't break all the cardboard down. And he's got some other things there that he wanted to take care of or clean out, maybe a spring clean out. We can come back over one of our specialty trucks, pick up that material. We have a price list for everything from A to Z to pick up this additional material that could be at the curb. Question number 2 is, what if I have more trash recycling and they have for 1 cart for each? Each resident can call up and arrange for additional carts for both for an additional fee. So if somebody has more family members or they generate more material, they like to cook at home, they have more stuff going on, then we can certainly, we want the material inside the container. We can set them up with additional carts they need going forward. Next slide, please. What do I do with my large pieces of cardboard? The residents will need to break down the cardboard so it'll fit into the cart. If they have more, they can simply call our office and arrange a special one-time pickup, the same as trash. So once again, if somebody moves into a new house or it's a new homeowner and they've got a lot of cardboard there, they can call us up and we can take that material and we can arrange for a special one-time pickup for them to take the cardboard away. Next slide, please. All right, at this time, that's our overview of everything that we're doing right now. I'd like to open it up to anyone who has questions either for myself or Steve regarding the operational part of this. And please let us know and we'll answer any questions you have.
To make it easy for the board members, I'll start out with Mike and then with Judy. Mike, did you have any questions for the gentleman?
Nothing really at the moment. Just seems like you guys plan on getting a lot of money through these special calls.
We already do a lot of special calls already. So that's not a new practice. That's something that's already being done. When people call for like furniture or things like that they want to get rid of, they call us and we make arrangements with them directly to go take care of their needs.
You all set, Michael?
I'm good, Bill.
Okay, Judy and then Jonathan. Judy, you're up.
Yes. First of all, are you going to send out an informational to the residents first off, so that it's going to eliminate probably 95% of the questions?
Yes, there will be a letter that would actually go out to all the residents of the town introducing the program if you should choose to decide to do that. We did that with North Syracuse. We did that with Homer. All the residents down there got letters that came to them directly, so they understood how to put the containers out, what the program was, and how to go about if they had questions or extra items and things of that nature, and to request any kind of specialized service they may need.
Judy,
Okay.
just to follow up on that, there's the informational flyer that goes out. It shows actual location, placement of the carts, where to place the carts, where to do it, how to face them towards the road, what we're doing. And obviously we supply the town with those that you approve prior to us doing that. So what I had listed in the one slides are minimal calls. As a result, I think a lot of good information was out prior to that.
Okay, because knowing obviously what goes on when people place their trash at the road, some don't pay any attention to it. What about all the extra bags? Are you going to leave those? Because people will insist upon doing that, unfortunately. And, it's going to, how long did it take for say, Homer to get up to speed with this?
Well, the most recent one we did was North Syracuse, and basically when we did them, when we sent out the flyers, there was instructions into how to go about getting extra services for their carts if they had overages. So that would be all included in there. And then it did take some communication with customers calling in, like we get now from residents calling. They did call and communicate with us and, ask those specific questions as well. What do I do if I have this? What do I do if I have that? And we had the staffing in the office here answering those questions. It probably was about maybe a month and a half. So we started in November with North Syracuse, and by Christmas time, they were pretty much all on board and understood what they had to do. And the phone calls obviously slowed down and stopped. And now we
Hopefully for you guys, just dealing with the community in general, I can just foresee Cicero and their means of communicating. Lately, this recycling thing, it's hard for people to figure out what is what is to be recycled? When they say if you're unsure, throw it in your trash. Has that changed? Like stuff you can't bend, something that's hard, that type of thing. Is there a new list?
Judy, if you go on Okra's website, which we can provide you information to get to that, there's a listing there of the do's and don'ts of recycling. You know, the markets, I don't think any secret to anybody, commodities have been down all over. The recycling markets have been down tremendously over the past year. So right now, just to give you a current what's going on with us is commercial recycling that we pick up from commercial-based businesses. We were paying a tipping fee into the MRF, the Material Recycling Facility, located here in Onondaga County. Residential material, apartment complex material has been grandfathered at zero tipping fee due to the agreement we have with Okra that the towns have. So we collect that material, we're not paying anything. So there has been more stricter guidelines. We're looking at recycled material closer ever than before. We as a company have invested a lot of money in material and machinery to separate material to make it cleaner. So we're working with our customer base, residential and commercial, to get people to clean things up. What happened is we've made it more convenient, more easier for folks over the years. With single stream recycling to throw everything out, and everybody just thinks a lot of stuff is recyclable, but it's not. So we've had to walk people through the education process. So if we get into the CART program with you folks, we certainly hope we do, we'll supply you with that information. We'll be able to get the information we get right from Okra, and we'll supply you with that. And, you know, just to give people the flyers, just to remember what is recyclable and what isn't. So the markets have changed. The material that you recycle now pretty much hasn't changed. The items are still the same. It's just that we're getting an influx of contamination in the loads right now.
All right, because obviously I foresee that as being an issue. But I'm sure there'll be more questions after that. Right now, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Jonathan?
All right, so just to clarify, because I don't think it was said in the beginning, this is not a service that'll be offered under a current contract. This would be something
Correct.
perhaps for a future contract.
Correct.
All right, well, that wasn't explicit, so I just wanted to put that out there for anyone, you know, who's watching. And I understand the contracts are bid on, but generally speaking, in an apples to apples comparison, what is the cost of this service versus our current service, which does not utilize the automated pickup?
I don't have costing for you today.
Is it equivalent or is it more expensive? I'm not asking for specific numbers. I want to know, is it more expensive or is it the same cost or is it less expensive?
Yeah, I can tell you that the operators of the trucks, the training process we go through, keeping the upkeep of the equipment, which is the truck, which is a lot different piece of equipment as far as upkeep of the truck. And then obviously the carts, we have to be responsible to maintain those during the course of the contract. You know, I'm not going to tell you that it's less, that's for sure. As far as
think you were.
what the price would be, you know, I can't say today without physically going through the numbers.
I'm not asking you. I'm just asking, you know, in apples to apples, should we expect this to cost roughly the same as our current service, or should we expect it to be more expensive? I know you can't give the exact numbers, but you should be able to tell me that.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you today, but I can get one for you.
Part of the thing that we're looking at though too is under the current service with what you have, you don't have any limitations on your trash collection. And right now that's skyrocketing because everybody's home and that's all they're doing is putting out trash and recycling. So that cost is skyrocketing on you right now as it is. So under this system where you actually give every resident a container, it can actually control your costs better going forward than what you're going to have if you keep going with the current system where it's an unlimited service and people are putting out piles and piles of garbage all the time. So that's eventually going to catch up.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing else at this time.
Yeah, the contract comes up in the spring
Right.
of next year. So this is a pretty big item. So I want to make sure the board was briefed on the current situation. Nancy?
Yes, when you do your bid, will we be getting a bid on both ways?
Good question.
On automation and a bid on keeping it the way it is now?
It's up to them.
Yeah, that's, you guys, as far as your bid specs, how you present it, we will certainly take a look at that. I will answer the question that our most recent bidding sequence we've gone through with other towns. We've done a no bid for, unless it was automation. We've bid automation only We have not done anything for curbside collection without automation.
Okay. Do
In our
you
most recent bids we've done, we'll say 19 to 20,
okay.
2019 to
See
20.
that most households only need the one bin for trash? I mean, how often, I mean, are people, do you have a lot of people who need a second bin that's gonna cost extra?
We have, and Steve, you probably the numbers, I don't have the numbers. I know this.
The numbers are very minimal. The numbers are very minimal when it comes to people needing the second trash can. But there are still some people that would like to have that service, so we still offer it.
Sure,
We're not gonna say they're limited to just one. If they really feel the need, they need another one. That's, you know, why we put that down as an optional selection for them.
yeah, I just don't know how big a 95-gallon container would be, you know, is it 4
It's-
feet
the
tall?
90
or-
Yeah, 95 gallons is pretty much comparable to having like 3 of your normal garbage cans out there, which is like an average household family.
Well, if I might ask something, the fair cans that a lot of us have, because of, you know, I'm sure you all are aware of that we have all those light blue fair cans because of the way they went out of business in the middle of, how big are those? Do you know? How many
They're
gallons
probably
those are?
They're probably the same size 95s.
Okay, thanks. I'm sorry, Ms. White, I didn't to interrupt, but it just, that led me into that. I just wanted to get a comparison if they were the same size or not. I figured they probably were. Okay,
That helps, it gives me an idea, you know,
okay,
'cause otherwise I have no idea.
right.
So it's about 3 cans, you said?
Typically about 3 cans. Yes.
Yeah, 3 of your like 30, 35 gallon trash containers. It's a, you know, it's a good size receptacle for both. So as Steve was alluding to, you know, the average household of 4 to 5 people, that 95 gallon cart should be sufficient most of the time. We understand about holidays, parties, getting together, but that can typically, for the majority of our customer base that we have them for, that holds a week's worth of material between trash and recycling.
And you said it would be a one-time coming out to get extra trash?
What we do is we have extra pickups. So if you have your 95 gallon cart full of your regular residential trash
Mhm.
and you've got either extra bags from a party or you have extra material from, you want to throw something out, or you've got extra cardboard because you purchased some furniture or something, then we would call it, that'd be a one-time special pickup. We currently right now are going into the town of Cicero. And I don't know what the frequency is, but we're doing special pickups all the time, even with the status there is now with the garbage service you have now without carts. So that's continuing on now.
Right, I guess I was getting back to what Councilor Borky was asking. If you have 2 extra bags, what do you do with them? If somebody puts them out at the end of the road, what happens to them?
Basically, the goal of the system is to, like we said, control the cost of the trash. I mean, right now, there is no control of the cost of the trash. It's just enormous. We have trucks that don't get through their routes that we used to before. I mean, everything's gone way up. The COVID has shown that by everybody being home, the numbers and the amount of tonnage that's coming out of each of our commercial or municipal contracts has skyrocketed because everybody's home, and that's primarily what they're doing is they're generating trash and recycling. The number, and if you guys look down the street, you probably see it at your own neighborhoods where the amount that people are putting out has gone up and up and up. And so the idea is at this point, we got to try to control it somehow by utilizing a cart system. It actually gives them, you know, kind of a limitation almost at the same time. You know, an expectation. You keep it into the cart and it gets picked up nice and neatly with the truck, comes down, goes through and picks it up.
Oh, I understand that. But I can see, like Councilor Borky said, somebody putting out 2 bags next to their bin. Is that going to sit there? And you have to bring it back up and put it in your bin for the next week. And then you're talking bugs and things. I'm sure it doesn't happen a lot, but.
You all set?
Christmas for an awful lot of
Nancy,
people.
that's a good point. Sorry.
Yeah, you all set, Nancy?
Well, yeah, they still didn't answer the question, but yeah.
You're gonna have to save it for next week or have it picked up. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for the board members?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Actually, Bill, I do. Bouncing off of that comment by Councilor White, which was a great question. How often in North Syracuse, in the other village, I think it was Homer, how often do people just not call you and then leave that trash out for that extra week? That'd be a nice statistic I'd like to know too.
The phone calls we get from those two contracts are minimal. I mean, we
Well,
average
the
maybe,
question was, how often do you see the trash out there for that extra week?
what we find is the drivers do document where they come across things, and we do report that into the villages and towns in case they get phone calls on it. But once we have gotten the residents taught that what their expectations are of how to use the service, then that drops right off, where people know this is what the pickup is, this is how you do it. And then from there, if they want to have extra, or they have a party or whatever, they just call ahead of time and make the arrangements. That's why we offer the service that way.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I'm sure we're going to have many more questions in the future. Like I said, this doesn't come up until spring of next year. So if you have any questions, please get a hold of Kevin or Steve at Syracuse Hollers, and I'm sure they'll be able to help.
Yeah, everybody has my, Mr. Freeman, or Officer Freeman, excuse me, has my email. If you have additional questions, please let me know.
Appreciate it.
This, the transition of this going forward, really look at controlling the volumes and waste, what's coming out of a family, is really doing a waste audit of the town of Cicero and see what's really generated there, trying to control that, find the most, appearance-wise, aesthetic-wise, and the most efficient-wise way to pick this material up. We seem to find with the towns, the villages we've done, is that someone who was maybe an offender, maybe material was coming from somewhere else, seems to go away once we're more organized and we're controlling this a little bit more through the cart situation. Once again, it's key for disposal. Disposal this past year in 2020, there was no increase from Okra. We anticipate an increase next year, just because it typically has every other year it's gone up. So the price of this is not going to get any cheaper. But if we can find a way to control that through the cart application of inducing carts, that's the only thing that helps everybody from a cost standpoint. So just wanted to add that in before we left today.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your input.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item, number 5. As you all know, the town of Cicero is in the process of selling the old highway garage behind the town hall. And they are looking, the buyers, Niagara Mohawk, is looking for a temporary construction agreement. So you have the item in front of you, granting Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation a temporary construction agreement, whereas Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation has requested a temporary right-of-way to enter a portion of the property around the previous Cicero Highway garage on Route 11 for the limited purposes of ingress, egress, storage, workplace for work on the Duet Clay Teal transmission line construction project. Now therefore it be resolved, Town of Cicero approves a temporary construction agreement and authorizes the supervisor to execute the agreement with Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation, budget revenue A2410. This agreement was worked out with Robert Germain's approval and the counsel for Niagara Mohawk. I know a lot of you may notice it's Niagara Mohawk on the documents for the transfer. That's how it is. It's not listed as National Grid. I think we're kind of used to doing National Grid now instead of Niagara Mohawk. So, and so that being said, I need a second, and we'll open it to discussion.
Second.
Discussion on this item?
I do.
Shoot, Judy Boyke.
Yes. First of all, it says temporary agreement. Does this mean that all of those heavy trucks and all that heavy equipment is going to be traveling back and forth on that temporary roadway?
Yeah, just like they are right now.
And who's going to pay for our property when they're all done?
Well, it's part of the deal, Judy, for the transfer of the property. As you know, we're not there yet. They're trying to get this major construction project, for those power lines. And so they asked for, like I said, a temporary construction agreement because all those vehicles, all the equipment needs a place to go. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather have it in a good spot like that rather than a lot of the neighborhoods where it is right now. So.
Yeah, but who's going to pay for it? I mean, it's town
for what?
property. Pay for the damages that it's going to cause to our parking lot and the additional traffic for, I mean, we hardly have, you know, on court nights and all that, room for people to be parking. Is this going to be right through our driveway? Or is this going to be off? Because we already gave them an easement to get back to work on the high power lines. We already
Right,
did
but
that.
Right, but we haven't finished up that deal yet. So this is a opportunity to try to give them a temporary access to the property in the meantime.
I know, but they don't own it and we still do. And
Right.
someone's going to, our parking lot's going to be damaged. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but our parking lot is in bad shape as it is.
Well, I think you bring up some good points. I got to tell you, I'm not sure how to do the analysis of that at this point. So
Well, somebody's got to pay for it.
I'm not trying to dismiss your point. I just, how to come up with a damage assessment is,
Well, I think they need to include that in this agreement, or somebody needs to throw, you know, a dollar mark in there, because if we don't in the beginning, no one's going to pay for it. No, we're going to end up pay for it, and we don't have the money. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me or not, but that's a question.
okay. Further questions on the item? Clerk,
Mr. Payne, do you have any comments on any liability or anything that goes beyond ordinary wear and tear with regards to this agreement?
No, I don't have any comments. The agreement would speak for itself, and any obligation on the beneficiary of the easement, which would be Niagara Mohawk, would be set forth in that agreement. So without changing what's already down, you're voting on what is
Right.
in front of you.
Okay. Thank you.
clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyd,
I have to say no without having a dollar agreement in there to cover the town's property and the actual person required to pay for the wear and tear of the parking lot.
Thank you.
Counselor Carr,
All right, I apologize for not saying this during discussion. You know, this is something that we discussed. I think that this agreement is part and parcel of the deal that we've already entered into with Niagara Mohawk and National Grid to sell this property. And that being the case, I'm going to vote yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
I also have to say no.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Mike, you have number 6?
Yep, I do. Authorizing the execution of the cruelty contract with the Central New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Whereas the town of Cicero wishes to contract with the local chapter of the SPCA, CNY SPCA, to provide an effective and efficient manner to provide cruelty services to the town. Now therefore be it resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves the attached contract with the Central New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, CNY SPCA, to enforce provisions of Article 26 of the Agriculture and Markets Law of the State of New York, which are reported to it by the town of Cicero effective July 8th, 2020 to December 31st, 2020 for $2,950, budget code A35104.
Need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carp. Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyd,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Aye.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Nancy, you have number 7?
Change order, JBS Dirt Inc. Whereas the Town of Cicero Board, hereinafter referred to as Town Board, has constructed a highway facility at 6658 New York State Route 31. Site work contract was awarded to JBS Dirt Inc. Whereas the town requested a price from JBS Dirt Inc. for the additional asphalt base and binder that was placed in miscellaneous credits that included reduced scope of work. The negotiated add is $32,000 and the negotiated credit is $2,627.84. This total requested by JBS Dirt Inc. is $29,372.16. This total change order is shown on GC 07. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board accept change order GC 07 for the site contract to JBS Dirt Inc. The town board further resolves that the supervisor affix his signature to change order site contract GC 07, authorizing the amount of $29,372.16 to be added to the contract of JBS Dirt Inc.
Second, Counselor Bacallo.
Second. So that, just so everybody reads this properly, it's a credit of $2,600. So that's a good thing. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Michael, number 8.
Certificate of substantial completion. Whereas the Town of Cicero Board, hereinafter referred to as Town Board, has awarded the construction of the site work portion of project for highway facility at 6658 New York State Route 31, the Town of Cicero, the award of the site work construction portion of the project was to JBS Dirt Inc. Whereas MRB Group has determined upon review of the work completed that the project is substantially complete. A certificate of substantial completion has been prepared and requires signature from all parties. Signing the certificate does not necessarily imply that all work is 100% complete or 100% paid, and does not have an impact on the warranty responsibilities of the contractor. The certificate has been signed by the architect and the contractor. The document now requires an authorized signature from the town. Whereas the certificate was signed in November 2019, but was not returned to MRB Group by the contractor until June 26, 2020. The warranty of all items will be extended until September 27th, 2020. If any facility items are noticed that should be brought to MRB's attention so the contractor can be notified to resolve. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board agrees that the work completed by JBS Dirt Inc. for the site work contract is substantially complete and authorizes the town supervisor to sign the certificate as prepared.
Need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carp. Discussion. Clerk will-
Just a question. This is the second certificate of substantial completion. Is this just with JBS Dirt?
Yeah, Judy, as you recall, there are different components to the contract, and
Right.
we're about hopefully going to end this project soon. And so we're going through each part separately.
All right. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no further questions, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Aye.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Before I vote, I just wanted to say, Bill, mine wasn't as long as your normally read. I'm out of breath, but I'm an aye.
Thank you.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Nancy?
Capital project. Resolved that the town board approves payment to the following budget code H16202 capital fund. $32,481.61. Payment number 7 to JBS Dirt Inc.
Second, Counselor Bacallo.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Judy, number 10?
Paving Riverfront Park parking lot. Whereas the improvement project at Riverfront Park, grant number C1000929, is nearing completion and the parking lot is ready for paving. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board approves Seneca Stone Corporation from Onondaga County Contract number 0010306 to pave Riverfront Park parking lot in the amount of $19,140, budget code A69894 in Walnut Street between Bennett Street and the parking lot for $4,275, budget code DB 511255.
Second, Counselor Bicallo.
We're getting closer to getting progress in the Brewerton project. So it's a small step, but we're getting in the right direction. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Aye.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Vitello,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Next, item number 11 is a information item, not a action item. For the folks who have been following the developments at Town Hall for any length of time know that the town of Cicero is not in compliance with the courts as far as the facilities for the judges and for the attorneys. At this point, we have basically two options out there. One is do nothing, which I'm frankly not comfortable with doing nothing. I think this item is serious and needs attention. On the other end of the spectrum, we've had proposals, at least drawings put together for a rather substantial $1 million plus facility around here. I have to tell you right now, I'm not in favor of $1 million building at this point. I'm looking for something in between where we can make sure the interest of the attorneys to bring their folks here to this building and the interests of the judges are addressed. So I put together a volunteer committee of a few residents who are volunteering their expertise to take a look at the facilities and see if we can come up with a resolution that is within our means to pay for it. And like I said, take care of the interests of the judges and the attorneys. So again, if folks have any ideas on this, I'm more than happy to pass them along. Kate Fiorillo is heading up the committee. And so if you have any thoughts, please contact her or me directly, and hopefully we'll get a very reasonable solution available soon. So,
Well,
any,
I have a question though. I mean, is work
Yes.
already being done on this? On any solution for this by town employees?
ideas are being put together and some numbers are being put together, Jonathan, so that the committee at least has some data, so they're not having to come up with numbers. Simple as what does wiring cost, what is a heating unit cost, things like that. Trying to take some buildings that are not available. For example, it would not be appropriate at this point to use like the teen center or the senior center, things like that, you know, have been eliminated because they just don't fit. So that being said, the committee is looking at what the space requirements are that we can reasonably take care of the judges and the attorneys, and then have them do an analysis. So if you have any thoughts, please contact Kate, and I'm sure we can.
Obviously, there's been some work being done on this already, or process being done. I would think that this committee that has been formed, first of all, that we know who's on this committee as a board, and also that when stuff like this is going on, that is shared with the board. I mean, being blindsided like this, I don't believe it's fair to the board at all, that we are supposed to be involved with it.
I mean, the first time I heard about it moving the park office was when I saw this on the agenda, Mr. Supervisor. There was no mention made of the committee. This is the first I've heard of a committee, you know, and I guess I could have called last week and asked, but I'm surprised that the board was not consulted before a committee was formed for potentially moving, I'm guessing, I don't know, a department off campus, off the town hall campus here. I mean, you know, and being the only attorney on the board, I might be willing to offer an opinion on what the court's needs are. Obviously, the judges are in a position to do that too. It's just, I'm surprised at the way that this has happened anyway. But my question, I just want to make sure. So no final course of action has been determined at this point, correct?
Correct. None.
Okay.
it's a information gathering part, gathering folks at a very reasonable expense, zero, for volunteers in the
I
community.
understand, and I appreciate that.
Have their expertise, and frankly, you bring up some good points. So rather than have just quote unquote, government people trying to get some private sector folks to offer their expertise. And once that's put together, have that report to the board for discussion and consideration.
Is
Okay.
Bill, it's Mike. Is there any way we could find, is there any way that we can make this ask for citizens public? So we can just go beyond the scope of the individuals that we know, so we can get some people on this committee. I'm not opposed to a committee at all. I think it's a really good idea for a committee. I would just like to be, involved. I think the board should be involved on, selection of committee, not just solely the supervisor. I'd like it to be broadcast to a large amount of people. And I do think the judges probably should be involved, not probably, they should be involved as well.
The two judges have been contacted for their input, and the folks who are have volunteered at this point are Mr. Snyder, Mr. Bloss, and Donald Paul. All three folks who have extensive construction background. Mr. Paul is retired from Syracuse Utilities, and I'm sure you know Mr. Bloss and Mr. Snyder.
So they knew about
had-
this before our town board did.
I'm sorry?
So it seems to me that, from the comments from Councilor Boyke as well as Councilman Karp, that this select group of a few knew about this before the town board did.
Well, you have to start someplace, Mike. So I think it's an item that needs attention as fast as possible. I'm trying to get it. I think this is a very important thing. The one thing that COVID has brought to light is that a lot of the trial processes, and especially local courts, have been changed dramatically. It's not uncommon now to have the judges here. Instead of having people in front of them, they'll have a computer in front of them and doing their business. So that's a good thing to help cases move along. On the other side, Mike, it occupies this building, it occupies this space, and it's very difficult for the folks to do normal business here when they're going through a middle of a judicial.
Well, I'm not arguing that at all, Bill. My point is, you said it's a citizen committee. It's not really comprised of citizens. It's comprised of people that currently have job roles here at the town. And if you really want it to be truly a committee of independent citizens, we should have independent citizens comprised of this board, not of people that currently work with the town. That's just my 2 cents. I
appreciate your input. I appreciate I appreciate your input.
Should be broadcast more public, and you should have truly a public committee.
Okay, we had to start someplace, Mike, and I appreciate your input. And once it comes back,
Would you be opposed to sending that out more public, or more
I'm
people
going
to
to-
be invited to that committee?
I'm going to
That's all I'm
encourage
asking
that.
there.
I'm going to encourage that.
How?
Once, within another few days, we'll have it, and I will put it out to each one of you. And if you have folks that you feel are interested, please send them forward, and we'll have a chance to take a look at the information we have.
Will we use our Facebook account? Will we use our Nextdoor account to ask for citizens to be on this committee? I think that's a great way to start. That's my input.
I'm going to look for your suggestions, Mike, on that.
That was my first one right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that's, like I said, that's an informational item. So that's where we're on that one. Okay, Mr. Karp, number 12.
Whereas the town of Cicero wishes to hire a full-time comptroller and budget officer. Now therefore be it resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves the hiring of Elka Johans, CPA, as the full-time town comptroller and budget officer, effective July 20th, 2020, at a total annual pay of $95,000, budget code A13151.
I'll second that, Judy Boyke.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yeah,
Bill,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ms. Blakey?
I stopped by the
Carp?
hall today to, I spoke with Danielle. I was looking for the agreement that had been put together for Ms. Johans. And she said that it was not complete. I would hope that the board each receives a copy of this prior to her signing, just for us to look at.
There is no agreement, Ms. Blakey. It's
Oh.
it's the position and the pay. There are no other provisions other than the standard items for employment.
All right,
And this isn't a contract position. This is the.
It is not a
actual-
contract position. It's a regular civil
it's an
service.
appointed, is it appointed position?
Correct. Right. Regular position. Further discussion? Clerk?
Yeah, I would like to say that I, along with I think the rest of the board and you and also Supervisor Meyer, interviewed Ms. Johans. I was extremely impressed. She has an extraordinary amount of experience in the public sector. She is a certified public accountant, and she brings that to the table, and that's not a trivial thing. This is a little bit more than we would like to pay, but I would also point out that we only had 2 people. We spent a decent amount of money advertising this position, and we only had 2 people respond, and the other one wanted more money than that. And I think that this Ms. Johans has much better, more relevant experience. I think she is going to bring a tremendous wealth of knowledge to the office. And she's really, I think she's going to do an excellent job for us. I was extremely impressed by her knowledge, by her candor. And I think that we were very fortunate to be bringing her on board.
Thank you.
I would also like to agree along with Mr. Carp. Her experience with her education, in my opinion, obviously with the position, and plus coming from the county with some municipal background, that I believe that the just getting up to speed is because she's done budgeting and besides and the 20th, she'll step into the budget position and right along with everything else, unfortunately, that's going to fall in their lap. But I believe with her experience and knowledge and education that it's an excellent choice.
Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Aye.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor DePallo,
At our current, or our previous town comptroller, after 9.5 years, made $76,944.25. I cannot find it to pay a brand new person at the rate of $95,000. And the other fact is I disagree. I do not believe this position was broadcast fully. I didn't see it on Indeed. I didn't see it on Glassdoor. We only did have a couple applicants. I believe we should have did a better job of making sure more applicants applied so we could make sure that we hired the right person for the position. There's about 2 million people that are currently out of work right now. The selection is fairly high. So that's what I have to say. I'm a no.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Under discussion for the information of the board, we've been running a very aggressive safety program in the town, and the safety numbers are pretty telling. The number of injuries are down dramatically. The number of serious injuries are down dramatically. And I received this recognition on behalf, frankly, for the town of Cicero, from PERMA, who's the carrier for the workers' comp, acknowledging the great job the employees are doing. So again, it's an approach we've taken not only for the workforce here while they're here, but we've also accelerated the education items they can take home with them, because we want them to have safe activities when they're home, not just while they're at the workforce. Next item, I promised at the organizational meeting that liaisons were not a life sentence, and that I'd be changing them around. So effective immediately, and I'll put it in your boxes, The liaisons will be as follows. Myself as Police, the Safety Committee, Economic Development and Drainage, Mr. Bacallo, Fire Departments, Highway, Codes and Assessment Review, Ms. Boyke, Parks, Public Works, Seniors, and the ZBA, Mr. Carp, Receiver of Taxes, Courts, Assessor, and Ethics, and Ms. White, Brewerton Revitalization, Comptroller, Planning Board, and Town Clerk. The next meeting, as you know, is the regularly scheduled meeting on 7/22/2020 at 6:30 p.m. Are there any discussion items for any of the other board members?
I have one. I just want to give
Thank you.
you an update in regards to Ms. Rogers' position. The Parks Commission has been interviewing those who have applied, and one situation that we are waiting on right now is the civil service to present the list after the test, so that we are aware of who is reachable at this time. As of last night, we had not received that list yet, but there are candidates that are quite interested and come with qualifications. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that.
Thank you.
Judy, when was the test given?
February. They have the numbers, obviously, a punch of the button, and we would have a list. So if you have anyone who might expedite that, that would be a good thing.
Judy, just so you know, I talked to the people at Civil Service. We should have that list Monday or Tuesday next week.
Ah, okay.
So,
Well, then
I
I
made
guess
it-
we don't need that big bat to go along with it.
No,
Okay,
we don't.
for those of you who don't know, that was Jody Rogers who was speaking right there. We don't have her on the screen, but obviously we all know her voice.
Well, it's good voice and a
Thank you.
good input. Thank you, Jody.
Okay, obviously on the next item, public input, we're in a little different place now as far as public input, but just for the board's information, there have been no emails or faxes received on any of the items from last meeting or this meeting as far as any agenda.
Bill, I actually, it's Mike. I didn't get a chance to do a discussion item. I apologize for that.
Okay,
Are we going to lift the state of emergency so we can meet together as a group?
the state of emergency and the meeting are two separate items. I have no plans to extend that, the state of emergency. I believe at this point, the items the governor was predominantly focused on have ended. The item as far as the meetings, the challenge we have right now, Mike, is spacing, to get the 6-foot spacing. If we are all in the room and we do the spacing, we have room for about 6 people in the room. And to make sure that that's followed, the court folks and I went through this room and literally put down tape in the room on the floor so we can have the chairs marked. And it would be very difficult, especially when we have public hearings, Mike, to limit the room to 6 people. That would be very difficult. So if we can get a resolution to the 6-foot spacing, we'll go from there. In fact, the court should put a limit on the room of 18 people.
The executive order by the governor clearly stated if you can't be within 6 feet of another individual, you have to wear your mask. So if we were within 6 feet of each other, we could wear masks. Again, I'm not going to make anybody do that. Just wondering if anybody else would be opposed to that. I just want to get things back to meetings as quickly as we can. I'm off for any ideas, do something outside.
I totally agree. And I'd be happy to sit down with you or any of the board members and sit down and do the spacing if that's something you'd like to do, and we can come to a resolution.
Oh, I agree with Mike. I think that with the Destiny opening this weekend, and the social distancing, if you can't be 6 feet apart, wear a mask. I mean, I have visited several doctor's offices. I have visited a dentist, an oral dentist, a hospital, and several other facilities where everything is functioning. Everyone is wearing a mask. And I think that, I think it's time that we took a definite look at bringing the town business back. And I'm sure that everyone right now is aware of the fact that the capacity is there. And if you don't wear a mask, you got to be 6 foot from somebody. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further items?
Yeah, actually, I apologize for not bringing this up. It occurred to me that I saw an agenda item that didn't end up on the agenda. I think the police department had asked about approving a donation of cash that was made.
Correct.
I just noticed that. Was there a reason it didn't get on the agenda? It just completely slipped my mind until right now.
Well, there were a few items that came in late, Jonathan, and we thought we were going to have very little to no business. That's why we had no meeting right now. So, but the agenda just got heavy, and with the Syracuse Haulers, which was, undetermined as far as what the time was going to be, there had to be some kind of limit on it. So I'm sure the donation, the money didn't spoil. Still a good thing. So
Yep.
we'll work on that, and in consideration to the staff here.
That's fine.
On vacation.
I would comment that we may, at the next organizational meeting, want to revisit our policy of only having one meeting in July and one meeting in August, because
I concur. The work has not gone off. The
No.
work is still continuing here, so
Okay.
we
All
need
right, we can talk about that at
take
that
care of
time.
important things. So
Okay,
thank you very much.
thank you.
If there are no further items, would someone like to move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. See you at the 22nd meeting at 6:30. Thank you.
Thank you.